up, you guys? Welcome back to another one. If you're new to the channel, I am Gold Pony, and today we are in the new 2020 Subaru WRX STI, courtesy of Apple Subaru in York, PA. Always excited to review this one every single year. And for the 2020 model year, there actually are some changes, so I am quite excited to be bringing them to you guys today. So as always, let's start with pricing. And so for 2020, the base STI is going to start at $36,995. And in case you were curious, that is a $400 increase over the 2019 base STI. Limited trim starts at $41,695. But regardless of trim level, the power plant, of course, will be the same. And so powering the beast is going to be a 2.5-liter turbocharged and intercooled 4-cylinder boxer engine, putting out 310 horsepower at 6,000 RPM, 290 pound-feet of torque available from the power band of 4,000 to 5,200 RPM. Power, of course, sent to all four wheels through Subaru's legendary symmetrical all-wheel drive system. That power is sent to the ground through a 6-speed manual only, as always. Definitely a good thing in this one. And so all in all, when it comes to 0 to 60 time, it's going to come in at roughly 5 seconds, give or take a few tenths of a second, but roughly around 5 seconds flat there, with MPG numbers coming in at 16 in the city, 22 on the highway, taking premium unleaded fuel. And so before we test out anything on the 2020 STI, I did want to mention SI Drive. There is a little circular knob directly behind the shifter there, and that's going to essentially give you Subaru's driving modes, including Intelligent, Sport, and Sport Sharp, which are going to adjust things like the throttle mapping as shown in the digital display right in between the gauges there. So that's essentially going to lay out for you in visual form what it is actually going to do for you. And so, of course, with this being a 6-speed manual, I will say the clutch feel is great. I kind of remember Subarus being a little notchy back in the day when I first started reviewing cars, but this has gotten a lot better. Either way, the clutch feel is great. It's definitely something that you're going to get used to very quickly if you end up going with an STI, so that's great. Grab points are certainly easy to find as well, and coming up to a red light here on a slight incline, I will say the STI does come with hill start assist as well, so meaning when I put in first gear here, I'm not going to drift backwards at all into the car behind me. I'm just simply going to accelerate perfectly. And so that is something I always like to mention, just in case you're a first-time manual driver. Maybe don't worry about sliding back. It's not like the old cars back in the day. You got hill start assist now, so you're not going to be drifting into anybody, so that's always a good thing too. Did would also mention there's a short throw shifter available for the STI that adds roughly $500, a little less than that, but that is definitely a nice option as well. I've played around with that in previous years. Definitely gives you a little more enjoyment when it comes to the 6-speed. Not that the regular 6-speed isn't enjoyable, but having said all that, let's go ahead and do a quick little acceleration in this one, and let's see how quickly we can get the new 2020 Subaru WRX STI here up to speed. Nothing crazy though, of course. Gosh darn it. This thing is so much fun. Definitely have experienced plenty of manual cars at this point, but WRX STI is definitely one of the fun ones. And of course that acceleration is plenty enjoyable to say the least, but to go along with that acceleration, as always, braking is equally important. And so to start up front, you will find 13.4-inch ventilated and cross-drilled front rotors with Brembo 6-piston front calipers found in a very awesome shade of green, by the way. Absolutely love that. In the back, 12.8-inch ventilated and cross-drilled, once again, rear rotors with dual-piston rear calipers. As far as the braking feel goes, you certainly are not going to have any issues there. I have a Brembo brake set up on my own car. It definitely brings you to an immediate stop, and that is certainly one of the things you'll notice right off the bat when you get into this thing. Braking feel is absolutely amazing. Then touching on handling and suspension a little bit, up front you're going to get an inverted strut type front suspension with the stabilizer bar. In the back, a double wishbone rear suspension, once again with the stabilizer bar. Did want to also mention the driver controlled center differential, or DCCD. That button is located just behind the driving mode button, so there's a couple different different things you can play around with when it comes to that. There is the auto mode or automatic mode, and that's essentially going to be where the STI finds your ideal power distribution depending on the conditions essentially. Also though, there is a manual mode, which is where the car uses the electromagnetic multi-play transfer clutch and limited slip differential to kind of send the selected amount of torque to the front or rear wheels. And I love that you can customize this, because I would imagine, although I've not tried it because I haven't owned one, I'm not going to do it in a car that's not mine. I would imagine if you sent all the torque to the rear wheels, this may be a very nice drift car, or at the very least a ton of fun to do some donuts in a parking lot when it's snowing out or something like that. And I know that's been done before, but that is one of the cool reasons for me that I like that it's there at least. And of course, you're also going to get active torque vectoring, and overall, as far as the steering feel goes, it is great. Definitely a nice weight to it, a heavier weight to it than most other cars I review, but I guess that is expected. It is an STI, it is a rally car for the street. After all, cabin noises, you can hear a good bit of the engine, but in my opinion, for this car, that's a good thing. I actually enjoy hearing the turbo whistle as you get higher up in the RPM range, so I think most people that get this car probably will. But perhaps the one thing that may take a little bit of time to get used to, but it is kind of expected, is the ride quality. You are going to feel a lot more of the road's imperfections in the STI, but again, that's pretty much a given considering the type of car that this is, as well as the wheel size, which I'll get more into a little later in this video. But overall, as far as visibility goes, I could see great out the back. Usually sedans, you never have any issues, but I love seeing that rally spec wing back there as well. So well done, Subaru, for visibility. Did want to also mention along those lines is there is a windshield wiper de-icer that will come standard. Definitely a plus, especially living here in Pennsylvania. So we get a ton of snow. So cars like this in Pennsylvania are brilliant, which is why they hold their resale value like crazy. But anyways, I am not reviewing the resale value, of course. You guys can look that up for yourself. But that about wraps up the performance segment of this review. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the exterior, where there are plenty of changes I will be pointing out to you guys as we go on in the video. So let's go ahead and take a look at the exterior of this new 2020 Subaru WRX STI. All right, you guys, so here it is, the 2020 Subaru WRX STI. Let me start with some of the new stuff for 2020. Up front, you're going to get redesigned engine bay cooling ducts, kind of found behind the front bumper there, if you guys can see it. LED steering responsive headlights will come standard with black housings. Let me touch on something real quick. LED steering responsive headlights, that is a luxury feature that is typically an option on higher end brands like Lexus and BMW, but they are standard here on the WRX STI. That is a definite plus. And of course, you got the STI badge found in the lower corner of the front grille there. And of course, I cannot go without mentioning the large hood scoop, helping direct air to the engine mounted intercooler. So yes, it is functional, it does serve a purpose, and the design is great. I actually like the design so much, I put it on my Mustang GT. That was a joke, but still awesome design. But anywho, let's go ahead and make our way to the sides. Black window surrounds will come standard. Of course, you got the STI badging within the front fender. That has been there for quite a while. It's always looked good. When it comes to those side mirrors, body colored power adjustable side mirrors with integrated turn signals will come standard. And I think it's cool that the turn signal lens there is a smoked lens. So usually that's clear on every other car out there. So I do like that it's smoked. Definitely ties in some of the other black accents found on this one quite well. But by the way, with this being a snowy Subaru, those side mirrors are heated. Of course, I had to mention that as well, but let's take a step back here. Let's take a look at the wheel setup, because this is a new wheel design actually for the 2020 STI. 19 by 8.5 inch aluminum alloy wheels with dark gray accents will come standard. And personally, I do love the multi-spoke design. I'm not 100% on the gray accents. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below of those wheels. But up close, they actually look really good, but I'm thinking the gray accents from a distance, if they were to have been left silver, I think it would have looked a little better, but that's just my humble opinion. Anywho, let's now go ahead and make our way to the back. Shark fin antenna up top on the roof there. Of course, this rally spec rear wing looks absolutely amazing. If I were to get an STI, I would certainly leave it. But having said that, I did want to mention there is a low profile spoiler available for no cost for the limited trim. So if you did not want that rally spec wing, perhaps because it hinders your visibility a little bit, or you just thought it was a little too out there, you do have that low profile spoiler available with only the limited trim level of the STI, in case you were interested. Of course, STI badging found on the rear trunk once again, and that rear bumper just below is going to come with an integrated rear diffuser in black. To the sides, of course, dual exhaust outlets with quad stainless steel exhaust tips. So I think you guys know what we have to do next. Not going to do anything too crazy here, but do want you guys to hear this sound. So as always, here is that exhaust clip. And so now, since we are around back, when it comes to opening that rear trunk, there actually is a button on the key fob, so feel free to simply use that if you like. There's actually also a button by the driver's left knee, so that is yet another way you can open up that rear trunk. But either way, once opened up, cargo capacity is going to come in at an even 12 cubic feet, and if that was not enough space, however, there is a 60-40 split, meaning those rear seats do fold down for quite a bit of extra space there if you needed it. Then make your way up to the rear legroom. That is going to come in at 35.4 inches. So for reference, I'm an even 6 feet tall. This is how much space I have back there. Did want to also mention for those rear passengers, there is a rear center armrest with cup holders. And sitting in the passenger seat, I certainly have more than enough headroom and feet room, and back seats were quite comfortable. So since this is a 4-door, I did want to let you guys know that. So making your way up to the front seats, manually adjustable front seats with red stitching will come with the base STI. 8-way power adjustable driver's seat is going to come with the limited. That is optional for the base, by the way. Did want to mention that. Recaro performance seats, again, will come standard with the limited, and they will be heated actually for both trim levels. So that's always nice, especially with the STI being driven in the snow so frequently. But overall, the seats are bolstered very well. Love the combination of the suede and leather. Nice little red accents, but not too much. So that's definitely nice as well. And of course, I can't forget to mention the STI badging within the headrest as well. But now let's take a look at the steering wheel. It is tilt and telescoping. It will come leather wrapped and a flat bottom, so that's always nice as well. And there is STI badging etched into the bottom portion of that steering wheel as well. Did want to also mention, if you're not a fan of the leather wrap steering wheel, or if you're a bigger fan of a suede steering wheel, that is an available option for just about $500, $499.99. It's definitely something I would consider, especially with this base trim level, with the seats and the doors, all of it having suede accents. A suede steering wheel would definitely tie in quite nicely, I would imagine, in this WRX STI. So something to consider there. As far as the startup goes, let me first start by showing you guys the key here. You do have all your buttons located on one side of the key. Lock, unlock, and that button to pop the rear hatch. And by the way, the unlock button is the Subaru logo in the middle. But now let me get to one of the new things yet again on the 2020 STI. Keyless access with a push button start is going to come standard, and that is new for 2020. By the way, that keyless access, essentially what that means is just simply keep the key in your pocket, walk up to the STI, put your hand in the door handle, and that is going to unlock the car for you. So that is pretty darn cool. And to lock it, of course, there's some lines on the door handle. I usually just press my thumb there, and that is going to lock it up for you. Essentially the exact same way as my Mustang GT works, but that is pretty cool, and you become used to it very quickly. It's a super nice feature. But as I mentioned, as far as the push button start goes, that is located just by the driver's right knee. So all I'm going to do is simply put my foot on the brake and clutch and press that engine start button there. And so, but then once started up, those gauges will do a full sweep. Tachometer is on your left, speedometer is on your right. There is a small digital display front and center. And so within that digital display, you're going to find some useful information. For instance, what I used it most for was the SI drive. It tells you what driving mode you're in. Also, the driver controlled center differential. It's going to let you know what setting you have on that located up there as well. So that's always nice. And of course, it's going to tell you your miles per gallon in a given time. Pretty basic stuff. But in addition to that, I did want to mention the second gauge display as well. And so that second gauge display is located kind of on top here. That's going to give you your time of day, the day of the week, outside temperature, boost pressure. That is probably one of the coolest things. Try not to watch it as you're driving, of course, but it is pretty cool to watch that every now and then. But having said that, let's make our way to overall interior quality. There is a power moonroof that's going to come standard with the Limited. You can also find some aluminum STI sill plates as you first enter the STI, along with aluminum alloy pedals. Definitely love that that comes standard on the STI. Dual zone climate control, again standard. Of course, suede and leather finishes throughout, as I was mentioning, so you guys know it's on the seats. It is actually on the doors here as well with red stitching. Absolutely love that. Wouldn't have minded if they brought some of that up onto the dash, just above the glove box maybe, possibly, but still having suede in a high performance car is always a plus. That's something you usually find on BMWs, Porsche, Audi, things like that. So that's definitely pretty cool that that's there. And so in addition to that, there is a little cubby area just in front of the shifter with a rubberized bottom so things don't slide around as much. 12-volt power outlet in there as well, and some little red lighting projecting down, so that's pretty cool too. Got some STI badging just in front of the leather shift boot and shifter, of course, and you can find 2 cup holders located behind the shifter as well. And in case I didn't mention it before, to the left of those cup holders, that is where you're going to find those heated seat buttons. And this center armrest, it is a little bit different. I don't remember playing around with it in previous generations, but you can actually raise this up to have it more comfortable for shifting. I found that super cool because if you're going on a long road trip in a 6-speed or something like that with this lowered all the way down, it doesn't feel as good. But if you were to press that button and raise it up, it's almost like you can have your elbow resting there while shifting through the gears. It's actually quite convenient, something I never noticed in previous generations of this, but I gotta say I absolutely love it. Well thought out, Subaru. I'm impressed. And of course, that center armrest you can open up for some more charging ports, auxiliary port, 2 USB charging ports for your phones, of course, and another 12-volt power outlet with a little bit more cubby space. But love that you can raise that center armrest up. That's one of the coolest things I discovered on the STI this year. I feel like I'm always discovering stuff. But now let's go ahead and make our way to the tech display. 7-inch color touchscreen display will come standard along with Bluetooth and audio streaming. Android Auto, Apple CarPlay again will come standard. If you wanted a factory navigation system, that can be had with the Limited trim level. And of course, you can check out your radio settings up there as well. And by the way, when it comes to the sound systems, you will get a 6-speaker sound system if you were to go with the base STI. However, if you went with the Limited, you're going to find a 9-speaker Harman Kardon sound system with 440 watts. However, that of course is not the one we have today. So let's go ahead and turn on the radio here, see what we got playing this morning, and let's test out the 6-speaker sound system we have in our base STI here today. You guys, this 6-speaker sound system, the bass, the low-end bass, is nice. It's actually really, really nice. Definitely surprised me there. A little bit of rumbling of the seats. I was super pleasantly surprised. So Harman Kardon is definitely going to be the better sound system without a doubt, but for a 6-speaker sound system, that's one of the best 6-speaker sound systems I think I've experienced in quite a while. So well done, Subaru, once again. But so the last thing I wanted to mention on that tech display, at least, is when you do put the STI in reverse. And by the way, to put the STI in reverse, what you're going to want to do is put your foot on the brake and clutch, of course, pull up underneath the shifter and slide it into the back right-hand corner. Subaru does it this way to make it more of an intentional act, so that while you're driving, you don't actually throw it into reverse as opposed to 6th gear. So that is pretty cool that you have to lift up underneath the shifter to do that. But either way, once you do that, that is going to give you a reverse camera for both trim levels, letting you know who or what is behind you, which is always is going to lead us into safety. And so to start, there are front side and side curtain airbags, also a driver's knee airbag up front as well. In the back, you're going to have latch, aka lower anchors and tethers for children for the rear car seats. Also rear child door locks, tire pressure monitoring system, and I did want to also mention the Limited trim level. That is going to add a couple more safety features, including a blind spot monitoring system with rear cross traffic alert, and lane change assist. And so, but anyways, that is about it for this one, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Feel free to follow me on social media at the bottom of the screen there if you like. Be sure to hit the subscribe and the bell notification button if you're into new car reviews. That is what we do here on this channel after all. Do appreciate you guys watching more than you know, and I will see you guys in the next video. Stay gold.